Hey, welcome to finally another episode of this podcast of where we talk about what we see on the screen. I know it's been about 2 months since our Star Wars episodes, but we're back now. And it's not just that we're back, but I actually have the individual who started podcasts with me. Matt, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. It feels so good to be back.
You're welcome. And you're in my house. We're in the basement where it all started.
Yeah, it seems like so long ago the last time that we recorded one. It'd been a long time since I've been on the last one.
Yeah, well, I mean, we started, was it September, October of 2016, so a year?
Yeah, just about a year ago.
You want to know what the best part about that year is in those early episodes? Those were all on, I think they call them Apple Podcasts now, is the name for them. But, yeah, since we left that, because I'm lazy and I don't want to pay hosting fees, those past episodes aren't published anymore. So no one can hear how bad we were back then. So we really have to do good today. So we
definitely do my best.
Well, good.
It's been a while since I've been on one, but I think we'll manage.
Good. And if you don't do well, I'll coach you afterwards.
Ooh, okay. Will you tell me, what went well and?
Yes, but we're not going to go there today. But Matt's back. We were distant for a while by a good hour and 15 minutes.
Yes.
But now you're back down. We don't need to say who the employer is, but you're employed where I'm employed again.
Yeah, we're co-workers again, just fucking shit up.
And now we can do this more often.
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm really excited. It's one of the big things that once I got settled in to where I'm living now, that I'm excited to get back into.
Well, I'm glad that you're excited because I'm excited and the cat's excited.
She is so excited. She is passed right the fuck out.
Yep, absolutely. Please watch your mouth. But no, I wanted to get together. It's been a while since we did an episode just in general, because the life has been very hectic. We're expecting our daughter, and that's progressing quickly. So it's kind of buying up my time. I've been redoing one of the rooms, making it into a nursery, and as a first-time father, overwhelmed. So my life has been a little hectic.
I couldn't imagine.
Kevin's life has been hectic. I mean, 2 kids,
always,
a house, so
always.
It's been tough to get everyone together. But I'm glad you're back, so we can kind of fill in the void where me and Kevin aren't available at the same time. We might be able to still do this more frequently. So, welcome aboard. And I think it's actually kind of funny, the 2 things that we're going to talk about today, being the Punisher trailer and the Tomb Raider trailer.
Yes.
And I say it's kind of funny because we started watching the Marvel Netflix cinematic universe together at work, at our last job, on our lunch breaks. And we both enjoyed the Tomb Raider games.
Yes, yeah, very much so. It was the very first PlayStation 4 game I got was the first Tomb Raider.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Gotcha. And we played a little bit of the co-op of the second one together, but then we never touched it again.
Yeah, no. And part of that was because of you permanently being here in the Syracuse area and then being that distance. Things happen. It's all right. It's life, but I'm back now.
Well, welcome back. So let's just get right into it. So the new Punisher trailer came out, and that's going to be starting, I don't know when. It's this year.
Yes.
Because the trailer doesn't tell you the date. It just says 2017.
And I love it that they do that.
I kind of feel like it's one of his bullets. I don't know when it's going to hit me.
Absolutely.
In a sense.
Yeah.
So it's going to be literally one of those days we're going to wake up and there's going to be a notification from Netflix saying, hey, this show's been added. But before we get into it, let's watch the trailer.
Yeah.
Let's watch the trailer again.
Let's get into it.
There's been a lot going on with it. We just recently got done with Defenders, but we'll get into that in just a minute.
Yes.
But let's go ahead. Let's watch the trailer for The Punisher.
Absolutely. I'm ready.
It's plenty of time now that you're home.
Shoot on sight.
My pleasure. What do you know about my my family.
I don't know anything.
Fair enough. They killed my family to get to me. It's part of a covert CIA operation. The man in charge wants to meet that. Homeland. The FBI. Everybody's part of this.
You and me, we want the same thing. So work with me.
On one condition. I'm gonna kill them all.
Yeah, I can live with that.
You're gonna see your family real soon.
Frank Castle's back.
The Punisher. He's dead.
This look like the work of a dead man to you.
Alrighty.
Boom.
So, what's your first impression, Matt, of The Punisher?
Fantastic. I think it's going to be awesome. I really was interested in seeing how they were going to do the Punisher in season 2 of Daredevil.
Yep.
And thought he was awesome. I kind of liked him as kind of like a side character, but now that seeing the first trailer here, other than some of those snippets that they sent out before, I am going to think that this is going to be better or just as good as Daredevil series.
Yes, I agree. I liked him a lot in season 2 of Daredevil. He met the tone of Daredevil.
Yes.
It was violent. It was brutal. This trailer, I know that people like it. What I'm about to say, people like what I'm about to talk about, but also don't like what I'm about to talk about. But the action in Luke Cage and what's his name, Iron Fist, compared to the action we just saw in this trailer, it doesn't even seem like it's the same series. It doesn't seem like they're connected because they're so different. Whereas
Absolutely.
Luke Cage was so choreographed and Iron Fist was so choreographed that it didn't seem impactful, it didn't seem violent. And here I just watched him do all these headshots, and he's literally out for revenge. Like, he is going to, pardon my French, but really fuck those people up.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
he's going to match the brutality of Daredevil's punches and kicks and knees from 1 and 2.
And this is going to be a totally different side of Punisher from the 2 movies that they made back a while ago. And I feel like what they're honing in on and kind of what they're showing of what he's going to be all about, specifically in his own series here, I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I didn't see War Games. That was the second Punisher movie, right?
Yeah, no one saw it. You're not the only one that didn't see it.
I saw the first one. Who was it that played Punisher?
His name was...
Thomas Jane.
Yes.
And Kevin Nash was the Russian.
Yes.
Okay, yes. I saw that in the theaters in, 2002?
It was a while ago.
It was around the time, I think, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man came out, I think.
Right around that same time frame.
I love Thomas Jane. I think he is great. I thought he was a good Punisher. I liked the story. It made sense of why... I'm sure we're going to hear about in the news that we're idolizing this man who's committing murder and weapons in a major city and all this kind of stuff, but I can buy into the reason that the character does his things. I'm sure there's going to be a plot point where he does something wrong that's going to make you think differently of him, but it's going to bring you back. And I think the thing that's going to bring us back is the fact that this is not going to have Rosario Dawson in it at all as Claire Templeton. But when I was on IMDb this morning, I did see that the Deborah Ann Wolf is going to have her Karen Page character from Daredevil, and it said 13 episodes. So it looks like she's going to be in it the entire time. So she's going to kind of be that moral compass for Frank, I think, in this series.
And that makes sense because in season 2 of Daredevil, there was a connection there. And you did
What
see
happened in season
Karen.
2? Didn't, like, he go after her or something?
No, what happened was I believe that the people that were going after... Well, she was actually diving and investigating into his background and these murders. And when she was doing that, the people that are going after him had started to kind of, like, go after her. And so he was
I
there
remember
actually
she got looped in.
to protect her.
That's right.
And so she thought that he was there to kill her, but really you kind of find out later on that he was actually kind of protecting her.
Gotcha.
And they had this connection.
Okay.
And so it makes sense that it would be her instead
does.
of Rosario Dawson.
And I think they needed a break from Rosario Dawson bringing them together. In my opinion, though, Rosario Dawson is more of the connection of, and I'll put it this way, of our heroes. And by that, I mean there's something special about them where Daredevil has enhanced fighting skills because he uses a sense that we don't use.
Right.
So it gives him a power, and Luke Cage was made that way. Jessica Jones can just do whatever she wants to do, and no one says anything. And Iron Fist just does choreographed kicks. I'm sorry. I mean, he's the Knight of Rainbows, isn't he? From Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Like
yes.
He was great in Game of Thrones. I didn't get the same thing from him in Iron Fist or Defenders at all. But that's not what we're here to talk about. No, I think it's really it's neat. I mean, John, how do you say his last name? Bernthal.
I think it's Bernthal.
Bernthal. But he's Frank. A lot of people know him from Walking Dead as Shane.
Yes.
That's where I first ever noticed him, was Walking Dead. But you might remember him from How I Met Your Mother.
Yes, and
You do remember him as Carlos in How I Met Your Mother?
I do. Very long time ago.
Because they kept asking, who's Carlos? And I was hoping it was going to be a running joke the entire show. But it wasn't. He just ended up being the guy at one of the house parties. But I thought that was kind of funny. But no, I liked his role in Walking Dead. He brought a lot to that character. I mean, that character wasn't an easy thing. You were hated because of what you did, even though he did what he did because that's just what was going on. Because of the situation. So, again, you hate him, but you understand it, and you can buy it, which is why I think he's going to be great for this character. Another thing I noticed is after this show's released on Netflix, there's going to be 9 superhero / vigilante residents in New York City. So kind of funny how all this stuff encompasses the galaxy and the worlds and all of this kind of stuff, but so many of them come from New York.
Yeah.
So we got Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Doctor Strange, Captain America, Iron Man, Tony Stark, which I'm kind of hesitant on because he's actually from California, but he now resides in New York, so we can give him that credit.
Right.
Iron Fist and Spider-Man, and now later this year, the Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of neat to see that. I kind of hope it's just funny how it's all New York. Everyone's there.
It is
a lot
interesting.
happening in New York.
It is, and I mean, like with Defenders, obviously that's where the whole movie or the whole series takes place, right in there, because obviously they're all right there, and so it's kind of interesting that they picked just New York City and not trying to branch it out to other locations.
Well, it's unique. I mean, we're oblivious because we're way upstate from New York. We live where, as I found out when I took my work trip last week to New York City, one of the things that the people told me down there is, oh, I've come up there, up to the main headquarters, yada, yada, yada. When I come upstate to see you guys, like, there's just so many trees, is what he told me. I just started laughing. And my response to him was, yeah, well, when I was just driving down here to get to this location, we might have trees, but you have concrete, was my joke to him. Because, God, it's so different. Yeah. There's so much happening and so many people. And the way that New York, with the boroughs, I can't even say the word right.
Boroughs, you said it right.
I said it right?
Yeah, boroughs.
It sounded wrong.
The boroughs of New York City. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
But the way that all of that's set up, everything's on top of everything, and there's just millions of people.
Yeah.
And it's just a cluster. So when you think about it's weird they all came from New York, no, it's not. There's so many people in that one small. Now, LA is much bigger, but it's spread out. Where in New York, you're just on top of everybody. So that creates more, I think, easier to create characters. And it is a concrete jungle. Like when we drove through Manhattan, it's just row of buildings after row of buildings, and it's just nonstop people. So that already creates an interesting environment for story, which is why Batman's Gotham City is based off of New York. So just has that kind of unique feel. But did you have anything else you wanted to add to Punisher at all? Or just that Marvel Netflix universe?
I mean, for me, like, Daredevil was the best one. And I very much enjoyed Daredevil Season 1, Season 2, and his role in Defenders. And I feel like it's kind of gone down a little bit when they add each character. A little bit of the... I don't know if it's just the actors and actresses that they have, or just the story, or just their ability to, like you mentioned, choreograph fights. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes it just seems like, oh, that seems like I'm watching a play instead of actually watching, like, a real-life thing. And so with Punisher, I feel like they're going back and bringing up that bar.
They're grounding you to reality.
Yeah.
Where... It's funny you say it, because Doctor Strange, as mystic as it was, it felt grounded. I could buy into all of it.
Right. But
in Defenders, when they went down underneath that building, there was a dragon skeleton built into the earth. And in my mind, it didn't take me anywhere. It didn't elevate my belief to kind of just let my belief go wherever. It made me wonder, what the hell is this? And then it never expanded it, and then never grounded it. They just kind of... I felt like the dragon skeleton was just... this is just... The hand's here, and there's something evil, so we're going to stop them. Yeah. But I didn't get that feel But I hope that Punisher... The story of Frank Castle is going to make it very grounded and very believable. Yeah. Whereas that's the tough part. It's weird how the cinematic universe can go far out, and you can stay grounded, but... Netflix is having a tough time of doing that, so I think it's nice that they're just going grounded.
Absolutely, and I mean, with Defenders, I know you mentioned that you weren't as big a fan of it as I was. I enjoyed it, but when I first heard about Defenders, I'm like, I put it up there with Avengers. Like, oh my god, this is gonna be like, it's gonna make those other series of Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. It'll kind of elevate them. And it didn't quite hit that expectation, but I still enjoyed it. Like, I felt like the story and how they kind of connected. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they do, like, a season 2. And I felt like they needed more than 8 episodes to actually accomplish what I think
I'm actually glad that they didn't do more than 8.
Well, based on how they did it, if they would have had more episodes, they could have maybe made it a little bit more, like, connecting. Because it seemed like they rushed through it. Like, some episodes seemed like... They went from point A to point B in, like, a matter of seconds.
Well, the tough part was they took 4 episodes to bring all 4 characters together. It's almost like they gave each person an episode to grow that character before they all met in that building. But it's whatever.
No, it is.
I mean, they know what they're doing because they have a show that was produced and made and casted and profited, whereas I have this podcast in which I had to not host because it was costing me money. So I'm not the best judge of what's going on. So I'm glad I called myself out on
that. Yeah, I mean, we're still entitled to our opinion about it, though, and kind of what we expect. I'm sure we're not the only ones that feel this way.
Oh, I don't know.
I honestly, I don't know what Defenders got rated on IMDb.
I stopped looking at that. I found out that actually Fandango is owned by the same person who owns Rotten Tomatoes. Oh. So Fandango puts all these ratings up for their movies from Rotten Tomatoes, which in reality, when you really think of it, that's going to skew people's ability to go see stuff. Mm-hmm. If they see that something has a bad rating or a good rating, they're going to be more inclined or not inclined to go see it, and that's going to mess with that film's ability to make money. Oh, whereas, in my opinion, ratings, I don't even look at because it's no different than what me and you just did. It's an opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why I don't like the fact they do that, and that can hurt a film's ability to succeed. But you also need people, if it's not the greatest, to go in, to have that opinion, for them to take that feedback, and then create another great film on top of it. Like, okay, these are the mistakes that we made. So that's why I don't like the rating system too much, just because it with how everything is now, with cell phones in your pockets and everything, it can do all of that.
Well, I never personally, I don't let ratings tell me if I'm going to see something or not. What I do is, I am excited, I want to see something, and then I watch it, and then I pretty much compare it after the fact. So, with the Defenders, for example, I watched it, and I believe that I gave it, a 7 out of 10, and I saw that on IMDb after, the comparison. They gave it, I think a lot of fans gave it above an 8, and I felt that was a little high, personally. And so that's kind of what I mean by viewing the ratings and kind of seeing how it compares. Well, I never will not see something because it got a bad rating if I want to see it.
Well, before we continue about bad ratings or anything, let's turn the tides.
All right.
Let's jump over the Tomb Raider.
Absolutely.
We got a new Tomb Raider movie coming out, which I'm kind of excited about. We'll go into it in just a little bit of why I'm excited about. But just like we did for Punisher, let's go ahead. Let's watch the trailer for Tomb Raider.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Alrighty.
What's your name?
Laura
Surname?
Croft. Laura, your father's gone. You can pick up where he left off. I see so much of him in you. Brilliant.
Hello, Sprout. If you're listening to this, then I must be dead. I found something. A tomb called the Mother of Death. If Trinity succeeds, our world is in danger. Promise me you will stop them.
I promise. I think I know where my dad went.
That's right in the middle of the Devil's Sea.
It will be an adventure.
Death is not an adventure.
You shouldn't have come here. But I'm glad that you did.
What do you know about my father?
Now I see the likeness. The recklessness.
Close the tomb once and for all. The fate of humanity is now in your hands.
Can't be too careful these days. The world has gone bloody mad.
I'll take 2.
Oh, good old Nick Frost. Alright, so Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider.
Very different than what it has been before.
Absolutely.
How did you feel about the Angelina Jolie movies?
I always kind of thought that they were entertaining, but mainly because the fact that Angelina Jolie is just so attractive, especially back then when they were made, because obviously that was in her prime of being one of the most attractive women in the world.
Okay.
But I mean, back then, I never really cared much about the story behind it. It was just
Did you play
kind
the
of
games
action.
on the original PlayStation?
I had played 1 or 2 of them. I think on PlayStation, way back. It's hard for me to remember because it was a while ago.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, the kid did come out early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I was just a little guy.
Yeah, I mean, you still are.
Well, yeah, but, I mean...
No, I like the fact you just said something, which I'm actually glad you said. You said that Angelina Jolie was very attractive.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons I really enjoyed the reboot of Tomb Raider as video games, is because it's not about her sexuality. It's not about her attractiveness.
No,
it's
not at all.
the story of a girl who is from this family trying to figure things out from where her dad left off, and she's put in these situations, and she has to fight for her life to get out, and that's way more entertaining than just a pretty lady on the screen.
Absolutely.
So that's part of the reason I really enjoyed the games. I felt the games also were really trying to do what Uncharted did. So
absolutely.
that's another thing. But overall, I mean, I think I'm going to have fun watching this movie. Overall, it's completely. They've even announced that it's an adaptation from the 2013 video game.
Yeah, a lot of some of the scenes in that, it just reminded me and put me back into some of the cutscenes in the original game of like making big huge leaps and jumps across cliffs and the plains and things kind of falling apart and oh my goodness, is she gonna fall or not? I felt like a lot of it was very similar to how they did in the video games compared to the movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Trinity stands out.
Absolutely.
So I mean, because that has a lot to do with her father's. Spoiler alert: her father's death. But I mean, the game came out 4 years ago. It's not my fault if you don't know these things.
Correct.
But I bet you there's a lot of people who don't play video games, so I kind of might maybe just ruin that a little bit. But he did say, "I'm dead. If they succeed, the world could end."
Yeah, not much of a spoiler.
Yeah, no, not really. But yeah, I'm hoping it's a fun roller coaster. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping it's not cliche.
Right.
I'm hoping it's not good guy situation. Someone betrays her. That guy that's on the boat with her betrays her. And then they come together to defeat the villain. I hope it's not like a simple story. I hope there's a lot to really grow the character. There is one difference in the trailer that I saw from the video game, which I'm not too happy about. I can't say not too happy. I like the way they did it in the game, but in the movie, they're doing it for a laugh. But in the movie, you see Nick Frost, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, you can't be too careful out there. The world's crazy." And she goes, "I'll take two," and she holds up two pistols. But in the game, it was the guy that was a father figure to her since her dad passed who carried two pistols. And when he died, you took over those pistols. Mm-hmm. And that's how, in the video game, Laura came to have the two pistol thing that we know her for. Whereas this is kind of just like, Nick Frost is in the scene. Don't get me wrong, I love Nick Frost. He's hysterical. He's brilliant. But, I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I'm being too picky.
I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't,
you're being an asshole.
It doesn't really go into much, and so, like, one of the things I liked about the trailer is that it doesn't really show too much about the story and stuff, so it kind of leaves it open to your imagination about what possibly could happen. And, I mean, yeah, it's got to have some laughs. I mean, it's not quite going to be like the video game in that part.
True.
So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see kind of how they do it. But yeah, I don't want it to be too cliche. I don't want to sit there and be like, "Oh, I know what's going to happen here. Oh yeah, this is going to..." I hate movies like that. Yeah. I hope they go into a little bit more complicated thriller aspect of it, and like you're blindsided at the end.
I want to be on the edge of my seat. I want to feel like I have to survive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. On this island. And I'm pretty confident that they're going to do it that way. Especially because I'm sure they want to have a franchise. I don't know if there's more than one movie already set in place.
They're probably waiting to see how this does.
Yeah, they'll probably... A lot of times what happens is like a month before the movie comes out, they'll be like... Because it'll be opened up in different countries before it comes here.
I was going to say, internationally, I guarantee this movie's going to do amazing.
Oh yeah, especially because I know that, Alicia Vikander, I think is how you pronounce it. She's obviously not American at all anyway. She's from, I believe, over in Europe. And so I'm guessing just based on kind of that aspect, it'll do well in those European countries.
You're really judging things based on geographical location. You're a geocyst at this point.
Well, I mean, it just makes sense. It makes sense kind of thing. Because I know that not a lot of people here really know her.
No, I mean, I was first introduced to her through Ex Machina. That's where I first met her. I remember we watched that movie last year.
We did.
Such a good movie.
Fantastic. And she was fantastic.
She was great. She did such a good job at being a robot, but at the same time being a human.
Yeah.
It was...
I couldn't imagine how difficult that is to go from...
And knowing that most of your body in that film had to be green.
Yeah.
She had to wear a suit.
Absolutely.
For the motion capture and stuff, but...
Yeah.
That movie blindsided me, especially the ending. Didn't expect the end to be the way it was. That I won't spoil.
Yeah, no.
Because that's a movie worth watching. I mean, on top of her being in this, Dominic West, who plays her father, This is actually the second time he's been the father to her character in film.
Which is interesting.
He was the father to her in Testament of the Youth in 2014. Never heard of it, but I think it's kind of interesting that there's chemistry. How much of that will be on screen, don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, we saw a little snippet of it, but I don't know if it'll go any further than that kind of thing.
But if you're an actor and you can go places and work with people you've already worked with, that makes your day a little bit easier.
It'll make the product better on the screen, too.
Yeah. This fact is kind of interesting. In 2009, Warner Brothers actually wanted to reboot the movie franchise. Do you know who they wanted to use to play Lara Croft? And this is where we get into what you said earlier.
Oh, boy. I didn't know this before you mentioned it, but Megan Fox, I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Megan Fox.
I'm so glad.
That would have been another whole thing of sexualizing the Lara Croft character.
Yes.
Completely, which, in my opinion, that's not the way to go.
And I wouldn't have been a fan of that.
No.
Not at all.
I mean, she's horrible in Transformers. She's also horrible in Ninja Turtles. So
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Megan Fox. She's there to look pretty, and that's it, in my opinion. But she's the second actress. Alicia is the second actress to play Lara Croft. Not just the second actress to play Lara Croft, but the second Oscar-winning actress to do so.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. So both her and Angelina Jolie won. Now this is where it gets fun. They both won an Oscar in the exact same category, which is kind of funny, and they're both being Lara Croft. So in that category was Best Supporting Actress. Angelina Jolie won it for a 1999 film, but she got the award in 2000 for Girl Interrupted. And Alicia got it in 2016 for the 2015 film The Danish Girl. Did you see Danish Girl? Because it has Daniel
I did.
Redford. What's his last name? Red Fox.
I don't think it's Red Fox.
Red 11
but
standing
it's
by.
like Redmonton or something like that. I can't fully remember.
But he's a great actor. I really like him a lot.
Me too.
The first time I ever heard of him was, I know I mentioned to you the other day at work, was Black Death. He was the priest in Black Death. He's very, very good in that role. But a lot of people don't know what that movie is. If you haven't seen it, watch it. But no, it's kind of funny that both were Oscar winners for the same category, and both being Lara Croft. So
yeah, and I know that since that Academy Award, her roles have kind of gotten bigger. I'm not sure if you even know this, but the latest Jason Bourne, she was one of the main iconic characters in that movie.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, she is, because once I saw her, because once they kind of advertised it, didn't really go much into her. But then, like, she's a key character in that movie, and so she's starting to become bigger mainstream. And I just hope that it doesn't take back from her ability of an actress, because so far everything that I've seen her in, she's been really good.
Yeah, it's never really the actor's fault. It's how they're directed. So we can't put a lot of blame on them for that.
That's true.
But outside of Alicia getting this role, Daisy Ridley and Emilia Clarke were front runners to take this role as Lara Croft. And we were kind of talking about this before, which
interesting. I'm
happy it wasn't Daisy or Emilia. I'm very, very happy. As I was telling you before, sure, Alicia might have done more than Daisy, but that's Star Wars. And if I saw Daisy go from being Rey to being Lara Croft, the only thing that's going to go through my mind is, hey, that's Rey from Star Wars.
Yes,
the entire time, and I'm going to be comparing the two characters. That's one of the reasons I love Lord of the Rings so much, is they took all these people to fill all these roles, but they weren't the most well-known people. Sure, Alicia has done stuff and she's won an Oscar, but I could probably go to a bunch of people and say, do you know who this person is? And they're going to say no.
Yeah, they wouldn't have an idea.
I could also say the same thing about Emilia Clarke. If I see her playing Lara Croft, first thing in my head is, oh, some other dragons. I've seen her boobs. That's what's going to happen when I see that. It's going to take away from the film. So I think the casting was perfect for it. She actually kind of looks like Laura from the video game. I always said, though, if they did make a Tomb Raider movie, they should probably use the actress from the video game who did all the vocals and the motion capture to be Lara Croft, and they didn't do that, which kind of sucks.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, it would have been nice, but, I mean, once she does the movie, then she has to get paid quite a bit. And if they plan on doing a third
they're
video
going to
game,
make a game.
then, I mean, it would be...
Totally doing a third.
It would just be tough. And so, I mean, I think based on how they did it, I think it's as close to as getting her from the video game as much as possible, because she looks like her, she's got the same kind of build.
Yeah.
Just the different thing is just the voice, honestly.
Which won't be an issue.
Yeah, no,
Won't be an issue.
not at all.
But no, I'm excited for that one. I'm going to kind of end my rant on Tomb Raider with a video game side. I really, 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 really hope that Square Enix and Naughty Dog can come together to say we need a Nathan Drake Tomb Raider game. So that way we can get Uncharted and Tomb Raider together. They have two of the best treasure hunters just saving the world, and it would be probably the greatest game I could play. And that's saying a lot, knowing what my favorite game is. So, how would you feel about Lara Croft and Nathan Drake teaming up?
I would play that video game in a heartbeat. Yeah. I think it'd be awesome, and they could go really big. Like,
yeah,
I could just see like how they meet is because they're both on the trail of something huge, and they just kind of run into each other, and they're like kind of looking at each other real quick, being like, all right, we need to get the hell out of here because guys are shooting at us. Let's go ahead and team up.
I would want them to be older, because Nate is already older. I want Laura to be older. I want this to be like 45, 50 years old and doing this whole thing. But I was hoping in Uncharted 4 that when you got to that mansion that you and your brother break into, and that woman's there before the cops come, I was really hoping that that was going to be an elder version of Lara Croft. I was so hoping that was going to be the case, but that didn't seem to be the case. But do you got anything else, Matt?
You mentioned about the video game of Nathan Drake and Lara Croft, how you would love that. I was thinking of the adaptation of what the movie would look like. And you mentioned older. I think it'd be kind of cool to have Alicia and Tom Holland, who's going to play the younger Nathan Drake. And
True.
Uncharted movie that's going to be coming out sometime within the next few years, I'm sure. And I'm just kind of thinking because, I mean, I know she's a little bit older than him.
Well, I mean, they did that with Anakin and Padme.
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be kind of neat to... if they made the video game and how they transition it to the movie.
But
and this would be down the road, of course.
And we know it will never happen.
Probably
which
not.
is the worst part about it.
Yeah, because they make so much money separate. And, I mean, spoiler alert, Uncharted's kind of, with Nathan Drake, is kind of, like, done now. So I don't know if they would ever open up that box again.
Who knows? But cool. Well, I just want to say a few quick plugs before we end the episode. Okay. You can find us on Facebook at Screen Talkers Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at Screen Talkers Podcast. And the kind of a thing coming up soon on October, I think it's the 21st, right? That we're doing this coming up. It's a kind of a big old thing.
Was it the 21st or the 20th?
I think it's the 21st.
21st, you're right.
It is the 21st of next month?
It is.
If we're going to be streaming live onto our YouTube channel for Screen Talkers, knowing that next month is Halloween, we want to get in the spirit of spooky and terrifying. So me, you, and Kevin are actually going to be spending the day playing through the game Until Dawn on PlayStation, which is going to be very fun because us three have all played it.
Yeah.
But there's numerous different types of endings, so we're hoping this time we get a path that none of us have seen.
Correct.
Basically, this game is a slasher horror movie, but you are the characters within that movie, and we get to play and unravel a plot. So make sure you tune in. We'll be sending updates out about that. But on October 21st, we're going to start pretty early in the morning. We're going to start around 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning with plenty of coffee in our systems. Matt, I know you don't drink it, so do what you got to do to stay awake.
Correct. I will snort lots of cocaine, yes.
I heard that cocaine's one hell of a drug. But yeah, just
Smells
make sure just make sure you tune in. We love, and it's going to be live too. We're going to, if you want to post comments on there, we're going to get them live. We can interact with you. Down the road, we are looking to do a more live interactive show. This is kind of phase 1 into that. Just because I don't know how to do it otherwise. I don't have technology in this basement to make that happen
right.
quite yet. So, but this is step 1 into that. So yeah, please join us on October 21st as we play through Until Dawn, and hopefully it scares you as much as it will scare us.
Absolutely. I'm scared.
All right, well, hey, thanks again for listening, and I'm going to end the podcast. Instead of saying wash your hands, I'm going to end it with something that comedian Owen Benjamin always says on his podcast, which is stay hydrated and drink lots of water.